people say, oh, you must hate drugs. I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I love them. And I was running down the Rangers path on Snowdon. It was pitch black, and the wolf was just running alongside me. I wasn't selling to people, a couple of grams for 50 quid or whatever. I was, going to people who don't want to get caught. They're in the public eye. Yeah, and there was one time, when I was like ready to just end it all.
All right, welcome, Christian. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, mate. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a nice little setup, this, isn't it?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely doing the job for us. Christian, I was a bit thrown back and at your profile because it says from drug runner to ultra runner.
Ultra runner, yeah.
And I suppose for anyone that don't know what an ultra runner is, that's somebody that does more than what a marathon is, which is over 26 miles.
Yeah. So usually like a short ultra marathon is usually about 50 kilometers, which is about like 30, 32, 33 miles. But I mean, yeah, anything past 26.2 is classed as an ultra marathon, I suppose. But yeah, that's sort of the short races start at 50k, then they go upwards, usually 100k, then 50 mile, 100 mile, 215 mile, it can go on for.
And just out of curiosity, what's the longest you've, the longest mileage you've done so far?
So longest mileage is 100 miles so far.
Miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I plan to do some multi-day races in the future, which will take me over 200 odd miles.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we get properly into the ultra running, where did it all start for you?
So it started for me, I've always struggled with addiction in many ways, whether it be drugs, very, very nearly alcohol. And that's sort of where the running came onto it when I went through my alcohol phase. It's sort of like I've always swapped addictions for something else, and I loved wine.
That was your go-to?
That was my go-to, especially red wine. And I gained loads of weight from it. And I've always been a lean guy.
How old were you when you started?
So I would have been 20. Hang on, what year was my first half marathon? I think it was 2018. So I'd have been 27 when I cut it out.
When did you start? When did you start drinking? Can you?
Oh, when I started drinking, back in my teens.
Yeah,
it was that standard
cultural.
Underage drinking, Frosty Jacks we had, 3 litres for £3.
I remember this.
Nicking whiskey and that from your parents and whatnot, and all that sort of stuff. So it's always been quite in my life. It's been quite heavy.
What did your mum and dad used to do?
What, job-wise? Or? Yeah, so my dad's worked in the horse racing industry all of his life. So we lived in Newmarket, which is a horse racing town. My mum was a homemaker. She actually had odd jobs and that, but throughout most of my life, she was just, at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't a bad upbringing. I can't sort of say, oh, I had it rough and I turned to drink and drugs. And no, I had a cool childhood,
But I know it was obviously quite rife at the.
I mean,
the horse racing, I imagine as well.
I mean, as a kid growing up around there, there's not much to do. It's a rural town. You got like half an hour train to get to the nearest town. I mean, you can get to Cambridge, like on a bus or a train, but that's like half an hour or something, which
Yeah.
As a teenager, that's quite far away. There's not much to do around there unless you're into horse racing. Then it's great. But.
Well, and I take it you got into it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I have a little flutter in that, and it's just always been a constant in my life with my dad being in it. So I have always. Enjoyed it. It's just not something that I wanted to do as a career. I did look at maybe being a farrier or a saddler. My best mate's dad was a saddler. He was there was 2 saddlers in the town. You went to one or the other, it was, and he had one of the saddleries, and and I was sort of like, I wonder if I should join James's dad's saddlery business. It's, because it's pretty. Once you're in, and it's
very niche, right?
It's very niche, but because that town's so, I mean, I've seen saddlers in Chester where I am, and they're not there anymore. You know what I mean? So it's just because there's not much demand for it. Whereas Newmarket there's loads, but it's just that wasn't for me really. So
So you was in that kind of like culture where it was just, there was a lot of partying going on, and like, so and how, what you said in your teens?
Yeah, so I'd been like year 9 at school.
Oh, right,
So it was lots of house parties, drinking on fields, stuff like that.
To be fair, I say that early as well, because it was quite similar for me growing up in that kind of cultural thing where like everyone wants to have a like get up to naughty when you're young, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you said you've always kind of had this kind of addiction in you.
Yeah.
How did you what made you feel like this was a problem? Because some people can drink and...
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, with the drink in particular, it was my weight. It was just one of those type days where you just catch yourself in the mirror and you think, who's that guy? Why is that? What's that belly doing there? 'Cause like I said, I've always been lean, and then just see this gut. And I was just like, what is that? Like that's not good.
Yeah, that was...
So I was just like, I need to nip this in the bud. But as well as being addictive, I'm not very good with self-discipline.
Okay.
It's surprising. You'd think it would sort of go hand in hand. Oh, you know, addictive. Nah, my self-discipline's awful. Like, so I'm not one of those people that can just go to a gym, stick with it. You know, I'll be like, oh, I've got to go to the gym. Yeah.
I think with stuff like that, it's about finding what you actually enjoy.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the running is a great example.
Yeah.
Boxing is that once you find something you really enjoy, then you can focus the addiction in the right places.
Absolutely.
But how did it, like, obviously you put weight on, how did it affect your mental health around that time?
My mental health weren't too bad. I don't think anyway. But it was just more like I just felt ugly. I just felt minging. And
so sometimes it's even worse when you're actually, because if you kept your weight down, does that mean you would have carried on?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Like partying and having a good time.
Yeah, I probably would have. And then, after sort of going through old pictures, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking chunky there, or my face is dead round there. And, you know, I've always had a bit of a chin, but it was like, but it was coming out of it. And I was like, bloody hell.
Really?
Yeah.
And was there ever, like, because normally when people have like drastic changes in their life, or what I experienced with myself is you almost feel like you hit a little bit of a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Was there ever like a moment for you where you felt like you hit quite a rock bottom, or was it more just you didn't like who you saw in the mirror?
Yeah. With the drink, not really. It was just, not liking who I was in the mirror. Where drug wise, I did have a rock bottom where I was just like, I had on my hoodie I had like some coke residue,
okay.
and I just found myself going,
and
then I was like, what the that's addict behaviour. Even though I was an addict, I was I'd probably say I was a functioning addict.
What's a functioning addict?
So someone who can get through life while being addicted to a substance.
Right.
So you might not see that they're
okay. I hear you.
Addict, but they hide it quite well. Looking back on pictures, I don't think I was hiding it well. I thought I was. I think I put up a reel up a while ago with just like pictures of me back in the day, and like my eyes are like wired, and I was even more skinnier than what I was. Healthy,
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, to be fair, I think there has been like a big cultural thing with all of this, and where there's like social media, where there's a lot more awareness of what we used to get up to when we were younger. There was Facebook. You said you was on Vines, I think.
Vine.
So there was a lot more exposure of these things. I think back in the day there was a lot less of that. Probably still rife, lots of drugs and everything going on, but there was no cameras around and social media as much. So
I think as well, kids get away with it now because it's all more like goes on a story, then it disappears after 24 hours. Whereas when I was on nights out, people would take digital cameras out with them and take like 40 pictures, and then it'll all go on an album on Facebook the next day. So
I almost you used to see like people with almost like pink in their eyes, and then most of the time you'd be like, they're on. But I mean, the reality is, I was talking to you about this earlier. I think you don't have a control of your environment when you're quite young, and normally we slot into these places, whether we're really advantaged or disadvantaged. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think what generally happens after that is there's a bit of a mind shift change. It might not need to.
Yeah.
Some people are quite happy doing drink and drugs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily work for everyone. I think what can also be quite difficult is that if you're a functioning addict, I don't know if that actually makes it worse.
Yeah, I think it probably does, because you don't see it as a problem, because you're still going to work, you're still paying the bills, you're doing all of that. Obviously, you don't see what it's doing to your body. I think what it does to your mental health as well, you don't realise until it's too late.
Right.
Until like you've, I don't know, on a bridge ready to just end it, or just have a mental breakdown.
Did you feel like you had a
Oh yeah, I had a couple of mental breakdowns.
Did you?
Yeah. I had a few. Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. So there was just a few where I just sort of, I wasn't a violent person, but I'd just sort of get dead frantic about stuff, and just sort of, get dead emotional about stuff like. And there's nothing to be emotional about, And there was one time, when I was like ready to just end it all. I was on a night out, and I walked home, which was uncommon for me because my house was like the afters house, where everyone went back to. It's a house that I got with my ex, and then she left, and then I was just me in this big house, and it was the party house, and there was one night, and I just went home on my own, which it was just weird, and I think it was that sort of feeling of loneliness hit me, and I was like, I sort of knew what was going on in my life, and I was just like, and my house was quite close to the A55 in Suffolk, and I just went on the bridge there, and I was ready, and I got a text from my mate, where have you gone, mate? And I was like, fucking hell, that was close.
Almost. That was like a reach out.
Yeah.
A hand out.
Yeah. So I mean, I probably slipped away without even realizing that I slipped away, because I do that now. Like if I know a night out's getting too heavy, I'm like, right, I'm going to bounce before this.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd done that then, but I just sort of didn't know what I was doing, because usually people just follow me and, would all go back. But that time I must have just slipped away and gone and thought, well, what am I doing on my own?
You kind of said you felt like you was alone. Like
yeah.
What was that about? Because obviously you had friends.
Yeah, I think there's a difference. Someone said it recently. I think there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. So I had people surrounding me all the time, but I felt, alone. I felt like, there wasn't anyone with me. You know what I mean? Like there was people around because we were all partying and stuff, and I was sort of like, are they just hanging about with me because I've got a lot of drugs with me, or because of the house, or because we just go out? But I just had this feeling of loneliness. Just
did you have you always felt like that, or
not really? No, I've always had, like, growing up, I always had like my best mates, and like there was like I stayed at like my mate's house all the time. My mate James, like his mum and dad, like my second mum and dad. I went on holidays with them and stuff like that. So I was always, not that I've done stuff with my family as well. It's just they were a second family,
100%.
And then and then I think it wasn't until after school, and all your friends just sort of go off to do college or university and stuff like that, and then you break off different. I mean, I had my group after that, but it was just sort of like.
What were you doing? So they went to college.
I mean, I went to college as well. So I went to West Suffolk College. I went to do public services, and found out I was colourblind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did you find out?
We'd done a test for the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, you're colourblind. And then so I was like, all right, shit, what do I do now? And then luckily my auntie got me a job in Santander banking, which is probably one of the best and worst things that happened to me, because that's where the cocaine really took hold of me.
Did it? Is that in the banking world?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Wolf of Wall Street or anything like that. It was it was just a high street branch, but it was so focused on sales. And I was like,
what was your role there?
So I started off as cashier,
right.
And then I went up to a personal banking advisor. So that was just when you come in, and I'd just be sat at a desk, and then I'd be like, what you have to make? You want a credit card? Do you want to?
Wow, wow, really?
Yeah. So I'd done that as a cashier as well, though, which is what got me as a personal bank advisor. I'd just see, like, just go into their account. They just want to put in a tenner into their account to cover their bills. And I'm like, they got a little tick in the next name. That's pre-approved for a credit card. You want a credit card?
Your job is
yeah. So yeah, and then
I'm not a fan. I'm not a. It's quite funny with credit cards. I had the conversation with this with another guest, and it's really important that you use them responsibly. And I think
100%.
Where the banks make a lot of their money is through the people that don't actually use it.
Yeah, responsibly. Yeah.
Right? So I'm a little bit on the fence with credit cards. I see the positives in it.
Yeah.
Pay later, but I also see how it can.
You can spiral. Yeah, I had to take out a loan to pay one of mine off.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was just one of them. I've just always had it and just always like paid off the minimum, whatever, and then the limit keeps getting upgraded. And I was like, I'm like, well, I've got a 10 grand credit limit, and I'm like, I'm at 8 grand in. Like this isn't good. And then I was like working out, trying to pay it off, and I was like, I'm just going to. It worked out cheaper for me to take out a loan to pay it off than it was to actually.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So that's
because by the time it gets to that, you almost have like a little bit of a holiday with the free interest.
Yeah.
When it goes there, like they bang it right up. I hear that. So you was in the banking world, and then you was obviously partying and still having a good time.
I was going out literally every day of the week, apart from Wednesdays for some reason.
Every day?
Yeah, apart from Wednesdays. I don't know why. Just Wednesdays.
That was your day off?
Yeah. Wednesdays were just dead everywhere, because sometimes I'd go to Cambridge or Bury St Edmunds as well, because Newmarket's got quite a good nightlife. Well, it did. So I would always.
So when you say you was a functioning addict, like that literally was like day by day.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Go to work. I mean, I'd come into work on coke. Like I'd have a bump before I went in, and then like I would go do my work and that. Go to Spoons on my lunch break, have a pint, go upstairs, do a line, come down, shot of tequila, to. It's now Greg's, but it was Baker's Oven back in the day. Have a sausage roll, go in, and then carry on with work.
I remember going to work into the office one day, and this guy came in at like 7 a.m, and he was absolutely plastered.
Yeah.
Like he worked for the client, but yeah, he was like, and you could see he'd been up all night, and this was like just on a weekday, and I was just like, I don't even know why you'd want to come into work, because it's like I know a lot of people can see right through that stuff. To be fair, so but somehow you managed to.
I mean, I think that they must have knew that I was.
Did you ever get in trouble with work with stuff like that, or you managed to?
No, I mean, I've got a few warnings, because when I was on the cashier bit, money was always up or down. It was never how much should be in the till.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't because I was pocketing or anything. It was just because I was so wired.
Wow.
I was either giving someone an extra tenner without realising, when I was counting it up, I was like that, and just like, there you go. And so
I loved you in there.
Yeah. But I mean, so it wasn't like mass amounts. It was like a tenner or fiver here and there, and then it did get to the point where I was like, they're going to think I'm nicking this soon.
Yeah.
Right? But I genuinely wasn't. It was just a case of I was just so wired. I was just not counting it right when I was doing it.
How much sleep would you get like in these situations as well?
Not a lot.
Really?
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours a day.
Really?
Yeah.
And you can see how it all spirals out of control mentally as well, can't
you?
Yeah,
because that's it, the tiredness as well as the, all that. So,
I'm bad enough, like I'm pretty sober these days, and I'm like, if I don't have at least 6 hours, I'm like, I start feeling groggy. And when I was younger, I'd be having like 4 hours sleep. Not through drugs, but say through work and stuff like that. And I would almost like have so much energy, I'd be all right. But I could see how I was just deteriorating over a long period of time. So So you'd be like, I mean, you've done really well in a bad way to keep it all under control. I mean, how long were you doing all of this? Like, how long was all like?
So. It wasn't long when I think about it. It felt like it was a good chunk of my life. But the actual where the coke just took over my life was probably about just under a year.
Oh, okay.
But it was long enough to completely just fuck it all up. You know what I mean? Like, when I look back, I think it wasn't that long that I was really heavily doing it for, but it did feel like it took a good chunk of my life. So yeah,
It all depends if you bring all like of the drinking into it as well.
yeah,
Because if you were like drinking a lot in the weekdays and stuff like that, then it could all kind of mash into one. Like I think there's the good part of going out and having a good time, and then
Yeah.
there's the dark part that
Yeah.
that like some people can fall quite victim to, especially if you've got addictive traits as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing I found. So what happened for you after you was at the banks?
yeah.
What kind of happened for you after that?
So after that, I met my missus, and she didn't really drink. She'd go out because it was the lifestyle, you know, and everyone else did. So she wasn't even a heavy drinker or anything. So, you know, never touched drugs or anything like that. And then I was just like, oh, I really like this girl, you know. And I thought, right, I'm gonna try and make this work. First thing I done was I quit smoking or coke first. I can't remember which one it was. I think it
Would you
was
say smoking cigarettes? Or
cigarettes. Yeah. No, I never really was into weed. I did get into weed later on, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. As a teenager, I was never really into it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I didn't like feeling monged or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked pills for a bit as well, which is why I think like the pills, coke. I think it's that feeling that I like. Of, you know. I've done.
How old were you when you went in that pill phase?
Pills. I'd have been like year 10, year 11 at school.
Wow, was that how young you were?
Yeah.
Doing them.
Yeah. It was like around that sort of time everyone was like on MDMA and all that, but I was like, give me the Mitsubishis, give me the Rolexes. Yeah.
So go back. Where were you on that conversation? So you were saying.
I met her and I just sort of thought, I want to make this work. I'm not going to be able to make it work while I'm like this. It was just a case of going cold turkey, which was quite easy actually, surprisingly.
Are you the sort of person once you say you're going to do something?
Yeah. I'm very sort of like, got blinkers on type thing. You know, like I'll just once I've set my mind to something, I'll do it. But Newmarket's such a small town. It's like literally one high street, houses on one side, houses on the other. You've got the race course and then some fields where they train the horses. Everyone knows you can't fart without someone knowing. It's one of those towns.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like I have to get away from here because I'm clean now. I'm not going to stay clean if I stay here.
So you kind of saw your environment as part of the problem. Is
Absolutely,
that to help change you?
Yeah. Because it was just like I knew what if it was a certain time of the day. I knew who would be in what pub, where they'd be sat. You know, it was just so predictable, and I just knew I'd get back into that pattern of I'm going to start in the Wagon and Horses, and then I'm going to go to Spoons after that, and I'm going to probably get offered some coke. I'm probably going to say yes, you know, because it's one of them. Like I'm like people say, oh, you must hate drugs. I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I love them.
You've got probably an open mind.
Around
these things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I totally agree with you. I'm very similar in that sense. I just don't like the impact it can have on people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And probably what it had on my life at one point.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with my friends doing it or anything like that. I just know certain things work well with me and certain things don't. And and that's just me knowing myself better, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's very important because some people can function very well with these things. I still don't know if it's really that good for them, but you know, if they're happy with their lives and they're getting on with it, then best of luck to them.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you actually. So there was a moment when you felt suicidal.
Yeah.
What help did you get? How did you get any help?
No.
Did you talk to anyone?
No.
Didn't you?
The person who texts me still doesn't know he saved my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Never told him?
Never told him. No.
I think you probably should tell him. It's a powerful...
Kieran Herzog. Saved my life, mate.
Hopefully he sees this. Yeah. That's a powerful thing, man. That's a powerful thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
So, you know... but you helped yourself.
Yeah, it's just one of them like I think it's only recently that it's been the whole men need help and you know all that sort of stuff because it was back then it was like how old am I now? I'm gonna 15 years ago.
Right.
Men didn't talk about feelings.
And you're how old?
I'm 32.
32.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's like people didn't talk about, it was, don't do that soft,
Yeah.
man up. Which I know is sort of people think, oh, no, don't say man up anymore and all that sort of stuff. But, yeah, it was back
There's
then,
stigma. There was a stigma around, and 100%, 100%, and I agree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
And that still there. It's still around now.
Yeah.
Like there's still a stigma about not being able to talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
Even though there's strength in vulnerability, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Because what a lot of people do, they bottle it up and they hurt people in different ways.
Yeah.
They lash out. They do things that aren't really socially acceptable anymore.
Yeah.
But there's been a massive culture change anyway in the world, from what was okay to what isn't okay. I mean, the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might swing too much in the other direction.
Yeah.
I think it's important to evolve and change as well. So you made a big change. You made a big change in your life on your own.
Yeah. Moved 280 miles away or so.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just one of them where I was
with your partner.
So yeah, I did sort of say, I've got to go. Like, you can come with me, but I understand, because she worked in the horse racing industry. So I was like, I understand, like, if you want to stay, because she'd done it for the love of the horses, not for the love of the work or anything. She loved the horses. So I was like, there's not many horses in Chester. There's a few stables, but so she used to ride like Group 1 horses, which is like Lamborghinis. And, if she rode horses in Chester, it would be like driving a Fiat Punto. It's massive difference. So, but I did say, there's not much out there. And she came anyway. So fair play to her. So,
yeah. Didn't need much convincing.
Yeah. So
where's this drug runner come into this? Out of curiosity, like what was going on?
That was my. It was a case of supply, demand, and is it supply and demand? So I had a huge demand for it, so I needed a big supply.
Oh right.
So
you used to sell it.
So yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't. I got away with it pretty good because I had to think of my clientele were people who don't want to get caught. I wasn't selling to people, a couple of grams for 50 quid or whatever. I was, going to people who don't want to get caught. They're in the public eye. They do not want to get caught. So no one's going to out me, no one's, because they're not going to say anything. So, yeah. So that's how sort of I got, because I have had a few arrests, but never for drugs.
What's kind of happened?
So I think my first one was offensive weapon in a public place. That was just carrying a knife.
Right. You felt like you needed to in that sort of area, or is it just?
No, it was just a knife. I was a teenager. It's a knife. I was dead lucky though, because it was just before when knife crime risen quite rapidly in like 2005, 2006. I remember a
lot more harsher sentences.
Luckily, I got I literally just got my mug shot and prints done and proper bollocking from my parents. So yeah, for that, and then I got possession of stolen goods and stuff. I got an assault. That was just scrapping. It wasn't me like picking on anyone. That was just a scrap in Bury St Edmunds, where I got my ass kicked, to be honest. But I still got done. So yeah, just little things like that I got nicked for, and like thankfully it all got wiped off my record when I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got my old CRB checks from back in the day that I keep as a reminder. Yeah. I mean, not that I'd go around carrying a knife now at the age of 32, but it's just reminders like, just don't be a dickhead again.
So it's good. I think it's good to remind us, because we forget a lot as well. I think that's
I've been after my mugshot for so long from the police, like a what's it called, request of data thing. They're like, oh, please give me my mugshot, but they won't give it to me for some reason. So
really,
yeah, don't know why.
But that's just like to keep reminding yourself of the past, so you don't go back.
Yeah. So I have a home gym, and I just wanted it like in a frame in my home gym, just to be there, just to be like, right, keep grinding.
You have to take a modern day one.
Yeah.
It's always good in some ways to remind yourself of these things,
Yeah.
so you don't go back there.
Yeah,
Especially the pain. I think that's one of the reason why you end up changing is because of the pain that you're generally in.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to remember that to some extent, but it's also important to know who you are today and be present with yourself.
Yeah.
You can't live too much in the past.
No, absolutely. Because I think it's easy to do. I think it's easy to dwell on the past.
Well, it was for me. Yeah. I don't know about other people, but you blame yourself a lot. You get caught up. People, it's quite funny because we get either caught up in the past or caught up in the future of our lives. So, I can see how. But obviously, the art and the key is to be present.
Yeah.
Of where you are. That's where the real enjoyment comes from.
Absolutely, yeah.
From life. But yeah, did you struggle with that as well, where you used to live in the past a lot? And...
Yeah. I think it was more when I moved away. I was like we had a nightclub in Newmarket called De Niro's. It's no longer there anymore, but it was like it was where I went. So it was like, there was 2 nightclubs in Newmarket. There was Innocence, which was more like more specialist, like dance music and that, like techno and or like all that sort of stuff. I don't know the genres. But then De Niro's was more like the chart stuff. And then there was Pacino's downstairs, which was all like hip hop and R&B and that. And that's where I was, just because it was just Coke. It was the Coke one. If you wanted Ket and pills and that, you went to Innocence. But it was Coke you wanted. It was
crazy.
De Niro's.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, but yeah, I used to find myself reminiscing. Oh, I miss De Niro's. I miss the old days. And the bouncers knew who I was when I'd come in, and my mate's sister would be on the coat check, and it was just the guy in the toilet knew me by name. I knew his kids. I used to ask how his family were doing and all that, and I'd go to the top dance floor and know who's up there and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, I miss them days so much. But then I'm like, nah, they were. I mean, they were fun, don't get me wrong, but like, it was a sad existence. The fact that I knew everyone there, and it's like, what are we all doing here?
What would you think that is, by the way, as well? Like, you were saying you really enjoyed that side to it. What?
Yeah. I've literally just thought of it in my head now. I think it was a sense of community in a way.
Okay, you're fair.
Like, it sounds a bit sad, but yeah, I think it was like, because I did know everyone, and everyone knew me, it was sort of like, we all know each other, and we're all off our faces and drinking, and we're all just having a little dance. And
do you think there's that comfortable side to things of life as well, when you're in these kind of comfortable environments?
Yeah, you're in like a bubble almost of like, this is my safe place. I mean, some out of town might come and glass me, but
anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. But yeah, it was a case of I feel
community. You feel like a bit of. Because you know everybody quite well, it's almost like extended family.
Yeah,
to some extent.
Yeah,
but
even though it'd be like, I know who you are. I've never spoke to you in my life, and I don't know your name, but I see you here every week. It's just like.
So you moved away.
Yeah.
And you obviously had a bit of a. Did you struggle much besides the fact that you was obviously quite nostalgic about it?
Yeah, I think moving away, not having any friends. I had my girlfriend, but it's like there's only so much hanging about you can do with your girlfriend till it gets to the point you're like, I just want to hang out. I just want to go to a pub with some mates, or just want to like do something, knock about with mates, But there was loneliness. I think that's where the drink came into it then.
Oh, so you got back into
the drink, quite heavily, yeah.
So, right. I'm with you So the main thing for you back then was being on the gear, essentially.
Yeah, that was the coke,
and then, but you carried on drinking.
Yeah.
Did you not ever find that as a gateway to falling back into?
Yeah, because I mean, I'd go on nights out and I'd see people doing it. I'd be like, whoa. I'd be dribbling like, oh.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Give me some of that marching powder, but no. It was just a case of like replacing one addiction for another. Because when I was on coke, I was drinking heavily, but it was never like an issue. It wasn't, it was more coke than anything.
Fair, yeah.
Because I could have a line of coke and then get a Red Bull or something. It wasn't. Really an issue, really? It was just like, or I'll just have a Coke or lemonade or something. But it's, then when I got rid of that and loneliness sort of crept in.
Which is quite easy to fall prey
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
isn't it? Like,
And yeah, I mean, I like my whiskey, like I like Jack Daniels and but my bourbons and that. Yeah. I was going through a lot of it, like like a 500ml bottle, like gone in 2 days, 2 or 3 days. So I was like,
do you know one of the most toughest things I've found in life? And I wouldn't say I've like dropped everyone out. I mean, yours has been like you've completely come away from an environment. But one of the challenges for people is when they change their environment, it's almost like swinging from one branch to another.
Yeah,
The only problem is once you've swung off one branch, but you haven't quite connected with your new branch.
Yeah.
So you get a bit lost, and there's a little bit of turmoil there because you don't really, you don't really know where you're going.
Yeah.
And I suppose the problem that you probably ended up finding was you use something to it was almost a bit like you numbed yourself in your moment of transitioning.
Yeah, I think you've got that nail on the head there. Yeah.
I do get it, by the way, because it's easy to, when you start thinking differently about what you want for yourself, it's very easy to fall into this hole of saying, I don't want this anymore, but I don't quite know what I want over here just yet.
Yeah.
And so I can see how that that affected you. So you obviously got into drink, and how long did that kind of go on for?
That went on for quite a while, actually. So I was drinking. I moved to Chester, not really know what I was doing. I just got into a care job just because it was like the first thing that came up. It was for a house for people with autism and like learning difficulties, like people, it was like a home for them. That's where they lived. It's quite a stressful job, getting battered like every day.
Yeah.
Especially like a couple of them just, you knew and you just knew you were going to get clocked. Like it was just one of them. Wow. So I think that added stress as well as being in this sort of transition area just added to it. And that was not enjoyable. But then I got into, I moved to a job in e-commerce, the Hot Group, which I suppose I told you about before. And then I sort of got a bit better with that because I was like, I'm actually enjoying this. I'm actually enjoying this office lifestyle, which I've not experienced before. And there wasn't, because it was, a lot of the brands were like My Protein, My Pro Bike Kit. There's quite a lot of fit people working there.
Nice.
So it was sort of like, there was no drink or drug culture. I think there was in like the marketing and all that, but I was at the time I was customer services, so it was, there wasn't much of it there that I knew of anyway. So I sort of came off it a bit, and then I got put into a position where I was quite like a team leader basically.
Okay.
But a role that I didn't know anything about.
Quite ready for.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like, right, you're the team leader of this role, you know nothing really much about it. The team's brand new. We need you to do this, and this, and this. And I was just like really stressed out about it. And then I just, the drink came back. And then that's when.
What do you reckon that is? Is that because it's something new and it's an uncomfortable situation?
Possibly, yeah. I think I was just sort of like a soothing myself type thing,
Yeah. Because it can be tough. It can be tough.
Yeah.
Because I remember what I was like doing new things, and I really would struggle at the beginning. But once I got my head around it, it would be like clockwork.
Yeah. Because as well, because I'm so focused on one thing, I'm quite good at picking it up. So if I'm not good at something immediately, I get really frustrated. And I'm like, and I think that's one of the things that came into it, because I was just always getting like bollockings after bollockings, like, Christian, why has this not been done? Why has that not been done? It's like, well, I'm trying to shovel snow in an avalanche here, guys, And then I started getting into weed a bit. And then I was like, that's not something I've really been into before. But it was just that sort of, I just need something to take the edge off, because I was going home and I was like drinking, but then it wasn't like soothing me in the way that I was, you expect.
Tolerant to it.
Yeah.
Tolerant to it.
Yeah. And so I was drinking lots of wine, smoking lots of weed. And then that's when the weight came in. And
you think that Do you think that helped in the short term and had a lot more impact in the long term?
Yeah. I think it definitely was meant to happen. Like, you know, it was meant to sort of, because when I realised I got fat and then I started running, I stepped down from that position and was doing another role similar, but I was running and I had this new outlet then. So any stress I did have didn't matter. I'd just go for a run.
Really? Yeah. Is that what?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't until I'd done my first race that I was addicted. So originally, like, we were just like, oh, a bunch of us are going to run a half marathon for charity. And I was like,
about 13 miles?
13 miles, yeah. And I was like, well, I need to shift this weight. I'm not going to do it in the gym. I'll do it. Like, and I didn't train at all.
What was heavy for you, by the way? You said you got quite big.
Yeah, I mean, people.
And you are quite a slim person.
Yeah, I'm a slim person. So I think I was an extra 15k on top of what I am now. And I'm about 72 now. So I was about 80, 87, nearly 90 kilos, which for me is big.
Yeah, you probably saw it quite easily.
Yeah,
to be fair at that.
And yeah, it was the face of my belly. Everything else, like, I still had a little, you know, ball beanpole legs and that, but it was I looked like ET because it was just like skinny, but then the belly and then face. So yeah, it was weird.
So you decided to get involved in a half marathon.
Yeah.
No experience with it before.
Nah, I literally on my Strava app it says that I'd done 6 training runs before that, and the longest one was 3 miles.
Really?
So yeah, I didn't train for it at all, and I suffered on the day.
I
but
bet you did.
I got but straight away I was addicted to it.
Did you actually complete it?
Yeah, finished it in quite a long time. It took me like 2.5 hours. Like 2 hours. I think it was 2 hours 34. It took me.
Is that? I don't know what an average time is.
That's not.
That doesn't seem like it's terrible.
It's not a terrible time at all by any means. But then the year after, I'd done it the year after. And I beat it by like an hour.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So
that's a massive jump. Well, you obviously done a lot more training leading.
Yeah. Because it was literally as soon as I finished that race, I was like, right, I'm going to carry on with this. Because it was like I had people, like, I was running down, people like shouting my name because your name's on your bib. And obviously people go on, Christian. I'm like, who's that guy? Like, didn't clock on. Oh, my name's on my bib, you know. Yeah. So you sort of. For the Chester half, you go out of town and then you sort of go out onto a country road, sort of come back on yourself and come through the city centre. And it was just a fanfare of coming through the city and like people.
Buzzing.
But yeah, I was just
energy,
I was like, oh, I can buzz off this. Like, yeah. And then they got the medal at the end. It was like big chunky bit of metal. I was like, yeah. Straight away addicted. Like,
well, really?
Yeah. Straight away, I was like, I'm doing this again. Like, I think it. I saw my girlfriend. I was like, oh, I'm not doing that again. And then like I just walked down the street. I think I've walked like 5 steps. And I was like, I'm going to sign up for next year as well. And then
wow.
You
must have been battered as well the first.
Oh yeah,
absolutely
really battered.
Like 3 miles compared to 13 is massive.
Yeah. So, and it was
well done as well, right? Because to be fair, most of the time people need to recuperate from these sort of things.
Yeah.
The fact that you just done the race straight after and then was like, I'm getting like planned for the next one.
Yeah. It was good as well. I mean, it was quite funny how for a half marathon, like I had loads of friends and family turn up. We all went to a pub afterwards and that. And now I'm running like 50 to 100 miles and no one's bothered anymore. But like, it's just you, mate. It's just, you know.
But you found, I suppose, you found something quite purposeful in that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it just made me feel good and like that. I think it's a bit of self-harm as well in a way. You know, I'm putting my body through like hell, but I'm enjoying it. You know, it's they call it type 2 fun. Type 2 fun. Yeah.
Explain that to me.
So it's I might have to get the definition of Alex. I'll probably say it's wrong. So it's basically like when
you go through pain first to get. Yeah. Do you know what? I quite believe. I didn't know it was called type 2 fun, by the way.
Type 2 fun occurs when a task is difficult at the time but feels rewarding afterwards, often because it challenges the practitioner to test their limits and grow. There you are. So type 2 fun. Yeah, I think I'm addicted to that type 2 fun.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I find it pretty desirable myself, to be honest.
Yeah, because imagine with your boxing, when you see results, like, I don't know,
Exactly.
I don't know, maybe you get hit in the speed bag at better than what you know than you was before, or even just like your punching power. Or
The thing is, so how I perceive type 2 fun is essentially short-term pain, long-term gain. It's like where a lot of us, me included, would be looking for the short gain, but then it comes with a problem later on. Like, so that's how I kind of perceive them two things. Is if you go through pain at the beginning with something good later on, or you have something good now but you have to pay for it later on. And I used to be very much, a lot of us as well, it's like you want that instant gratification. You don't want to do the hard work.
I think that's what a lot of people do now, especially when like everything's so easily, get everything so easily off your phone and all that sort of stuff. It's a
dopamine hits all the time.
And I think a lot of people do sort of need that instant gratification, and that's why a lot of people don't want to put in hard work. I think it is coming back now when you got people like David Goggins and Cameron Haynes and all that. I think there's that new mentality of people.
There's people lingering, and I think they're very good for men, society, where they're reminders to people. Like to not, I suppose, look for these things that could harm you in the long run, essentially, but to do great things in life, like be an ultra runner. I suppose. So how many runs have you done now?
I've lost count.
Have you?
It's like all my medals now are just like in drawers and stuff, because I've got 2 drawfuls now of medals, so it's like I've just insane. I am trying to make a display, because I done a Grand Slam last year of ultra marathons. So there's a company called GB Ultras. They have a series of races, and if you do all races, you get like a special like prize at the end for doing the Grand Slam, their Grand Slam of races.
So what's a Grand Slam consist of?
So you can either do the 50 or the 100 mile races. So I've done the 50 milers. So I've done 5 of them. So I've done
in what space of time?
Well, it varied. So there was some that were weeks apart. There was one that was like a month and a bit apart. So it varied. But there was I think it was between the Chester 50 and the Manchester to Liverpool. They were like 2 or 3 weeks apart. So I was like battered. But it was.
But you obviously get something quite strong from this, right?
Because
you get quite a good buzz, a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that. There's so many times as well during the race that I'm like, this is shit. Why am I doing this? I just want to go home. I'll get to the next checkpoint, but then I'm like, no, because I want that feeling at the end. I want to get that medal. I want to be able to put on Instagram. I'm finished. Because as well, that's one thing Instagram's good for, like accountability. Because I need that accountability.
How do you find accountability in it?
So I think it's a case of posting what I'm doing.
Right.
And then if I feel like I've not posted for a while, I'm like, why is that? It could just be I've not done a race for a while, and maybe I'm just training. But then I'm like, if I'm not posting something about my training, that means I'm not training hard enough. Because I don't post every run that I do. If I've just run 5 miles for my run commute to work, I'm not going to post that every day.
No.
But then obviously I might go up in the mountains, do a 20-mile run up in the mountains, and I'll post about that. And then it's a good training block. But then if I see I've not posted in like a week and a half, I'm like, why is that? What am I not doing? So it is sort of like, and it's not a case of, I need to tell my followers what I'm doing. It's a case of, I've not put anything that I'm doing that's worth telling people about.
Yeah. So and I think that the kind of substance of that is you're proud about something, but it's also something to inspire people about as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not being funny, but where you came from and what you're doing today is like a massive contrast.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't you try and promote that into?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, like my message is always open to people, who want to, they might get into help, anything like it might not even be like they want to get into running. They just might be like, I'm an absolute coke fiend, but I need to get off it, and I might be able to just help them get to a place where they can then find their avenue of getting off it, or it doesn't just have to be running.
Fair.
But,
you like to do, like to try and help people if they're serious about transitioning.
That's it. Because if you want the help, you can get the help. It's but I think you have got to need it. I've had so many people people who say, oh, I want to do running, but that they don't really. So I've stopped so I used to get dead excited when people say, oh, I want to get into running.
Right.
And then I'll be writing up a training plan for them, or I've made a list of these shoes that will be good for you. Make sure you get gait tested, and I'll go through all this effort. And now people are so half-hearted with it now. I've lost sort of that passion of.
And they're almost trying to follow your own blueprint that you found yourself, where it might be that they're on similar paths but not exactly the same. Whether it's just finding some sort of hobby or some sort of something that you're just passionate about, which is outside of what your normal environment is.
Yeah. So now it's more of a case of, I get more excited if someone says, I've started running. I'm running, a mile or two, and
tips.
Yeah. That's when I get excited. But if someone says, I'm thinking of starting running, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds quite harsh and horrible, but I've just had so many people just sort of say they're going to start running and they don't.
Yeah. But like you said as well, you can help people in different ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't always.
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
You've been on your journey, so you've got an opportunity to kind of inspire people to do things in certain ways. So what? So your biggest one was 100 miles.
100 miles.
How long did 100 miles take?
22 hours.
22 hours.
Yeah.
So what time do you start? And
6 a.m. usually. I think that race was it would have been 6 a.m. that race.
So 22 hours, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
The next day.
Yeah. So that's always the fun start when you're running in the night, and got to get the head torches out and.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where was that?
That was in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah. That was
got these checkpoints that you kind of got to go through. Is that?
Yeah.
And they're these are like the recovery bays almost.
Yeah. So you get there. It's usually a marquee, and there'll be like a table just full of food, fruit, savoury snacks, chocolate. You name it, they got everything. Wow. Yeah, they're really good. Depending on what race you do, because some race organisers are better than others. But the ones I've had have always been good.
Yeah. It sounds like a buffet. You get like a buffet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Do you? Because I saw this on somewhere else as well. But do you? What's the deal when you're eating food and you're running? I would assume that you'd get indigestion from stuff like that.
Yeah, I think because you just you're just burning it straight away. I think so. I don't think you get that chance to get heartburn or anything like that.
Yeah, it just consumes it very quickly.
Yeah. Because I always thought that so I drink a lot of Coke while I'm running.
Do you?
Yeah,
it helps, does it?
Yeah. And because it's got all the calories, it's got all the sugar. And I don't carry it on me. It's just sort of at the checkpoints I'll get a cup and just neck it. And I remember when I started, I was I saw people drinking it. I'm like, fizzy drinks while you're running. I was like, I don't think that. But a lot of places they flatten it. They make it flat so it's easier to drink.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But even times when they've said, oh, it's still a bit fizzy, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And then I'll run and I won't feel anything for it. But I did, when I started doing these longer races, I was like, nah, surely not. But no.
Wow. So what's kind of, have you got a goal ahead of you for these races? You've you've hit some massive milestones.
Yeah. I don't know, because I've not repeated it. I've repeated one race for the ultras, the Chester 50. But yeah, I think with a lot of them, it's more about just getting to the finish line rather than the finish time. Okay. For a lot of them. I mean, there are some where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd like to do this in sub 11 hours or something like that, if it's a 50 miler.
Is 100 miles the cap? Is that
no? So there's races of 215 miles. I think there's races more than that. I think Western States is 250, 280. Wow. That's in America, yeah. But so the longest.
Is that on your radar? Is it? Or?
Nah, probably not. No, it's hardcore. Yeah.
Is that where you? I love how you say that's hardcore. Like for the normal person who doesn't run or doesn't run as much as an ultra runner, that would be deemed quite.
Yeah, no, there's a few like 200+ mile races that I've got my eyes on, mainly in the UK. That I do fancy, yeah.
And do you not sleep? So it's literally when you said you'd done the 22-hour one, you just go all the way through.
Yeah, so that one I did, the 100k one, the UTS 100k. That took me 29 hours.
Right.
That one's funny. So I didn't technically get sleep, but I did for some reason on top of Snowdon where it was pitch black. Just got stark bollock naked. Got into my bivvy bag, literally lay down for like 2 seconds, didn't even close my eyes, got out, got dressed again, and then just carried on.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
No idea. My brain just was not there.
Function.
Like I knew what I was doing, but I just had no sort of control of what
the absolute desire to do.
Yeah.
Did it help you with anything?
I don't know. It might have done because it was.
Yeah. I mean, was it like you were so like burning up, like you were so hot that you needed to cool down, or
no? It was. I mean, the temperature was fine. It was. I just
lost your marbles.
Yeah. Just lost my. And it's a joke a lot. Like I've quite a close knit of friends. We all train together and that conversation comes up quite a lot because I did put up on. I'm getting a tattoo of one of my hallucinations that I had during that race, and I put up, on thing, any guesses to what I'm getting a running base tattoo, any guesses to what it could be, and so many people put like, oh, it's going to be you naked in a bivvy bag, or someone's just put a bivvy bag, or so it's just like, yeah.
Is that what it is?
No, I'm getting there's a film, Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's like an animated one, and at the end there's a wolf that they see, nice. So it was my second hallucination I had. And I was running down the Rangers path on Snowdon. It was pitch black, and the wolf was just running alongside me.
That's crazy.
And that's the one where I was like, that's not real. That's a hallucination. Because I had one before that, which was just, I fought a guy trying to get past me because I just saw a head torch coming behind me, and I just because the path is quite narrow, I went, oh, there you go, mate. Just let him path, and then just disappeared.
So you when you hallucinate in them situations, what do you reckon is this like you've barely got any energy and you're just...
Yeah, I think it's just fatigue. I think it's just you're running on empty, you physically...
But you've got such a strong mental resilience at the same time. Like,
yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
That's pretty...
I think it is just your mind's just playing tricks on you. Like, it's just like, I'm tired, go to sleep. Yeah. So...
wow.
Yeah, so I saw a few. So yeah, I saw...
That was a 29-hour one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was 100k. So I think it was like 6,600 meters of elevation.
6,000.
So it was lots of
but a good experience.
It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's not my furthest race, but it's the hardest one I've done so far. So far.
Exciting times there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm really glad to hear you kind of turned your life around, especially that you had the desire to want to do it as well, and now you're doing such incredible things. So you should be proud of yourself, man. Well done.
No, I am, to be honest. Yeah, it's one of them. I can't be modest about it. It's like I go on long runs and I'm thinking, it's amazing my body can do this. Like, this is crazy.
Do you know what? I think you've got quite a strong mind though as well. It's pretty impressive because if you're putting yourself in places where you're hallucinating, but your body's still moving. There's got to be a very resilient mind up there as well.
I think all ultra runners do, because it's quite common for ultra runners to have issues with drugs.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, not all, but it is quite common. Like, I get quite a lot of messages saying, "Oh yeah, I used to love the old gear as well," and stuff like that. And yeah, there's quite a lot of them out there that have had issues with drink or drugs. I think it's a certain mindset to be. I mean, anyone could be an ultra runner, but I think to make that your main discipline.
Yeah.
You have got to have a certain type of mindset.
You do have to have, and to be fair, it's pretty damn impressive that the ones that have been like those rock bottom people have ended up achieving such great things. I mean, I'm exactly the same. That I've got addictive. I've just got an addictive personality. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And anything I really enjoy, I just want to do a lot of.
Yeah.
So I have to tame it. Sometimes I love throwing myself into certain things that I really enjoy that are healthy for me.
Yeah.
Other times I need to tame it and have a bit of willpower.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say training for boxing's become an addiction for you now? Or?
It had, it had. I'm having a little bit of a break from it because I had my fight a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was speaking to you outside about that you go up and there's a bit of a come down.
Yeah.
But at the moment I'm focusing on my weight training. I want to get back into shape.
Yeah.
That's important to me. But yeah, I've got very addicted to it.
Yeah.
I got very addicted to it. Actually, it's something that I became very consistent in, and I'm not. Sometimes, if I lose interest in something, I'll go off track with it. But it's something that I've been pretty damn consistent with over the past year. So yeah, I think. But if it's something good and healthy for you, and you're doing things in moderation and. You know, because I've got a lot of injuries along. I don't know. Is that something? Obviously, you probably got exposed to.
Yeah. Get lots of niggles and aches, and I've broken a toe or two, and
really,
it's you get quite a few injuries.
Yeah. I think with me is that I probably weren't sometimes reading the signals when I needed to. So I think it's important to read your body, and when you're trying to go on these journeys of like whether it's boxing or running, is making sure you look after the aftercare bit as well. Yeah,
you have to listen to your body 100%. Because there's been times where I've just been like, nah, just power through it. What would David Goggins do? You know, like, and we're not all built like David Goggins who can run with no cartilage between his knees and all that. Like, it's just like I need to have a rest day. I need to, because I did do no rest days for quite a while. I'd done like 500 odd days, but it was after that 100k race that I was like, nah, I'm done.
500 days.
Yeah, I think it was. Rest. Yeah, it was more than 500. So I'm trying to think how many it was. I think it was like 530 odd days or something like that.
Seriously.
Yeah. And
well, you must have loved what you were doing. That's
yeah. But it wasn't just non-stop running. So I'd be like, I'd run, and then next day strength, and then run, and then maybe do both on the day, and then just so I was always doing something. But then I was just like, nah, body does need rest. Like, I think resting is training.
The thing is, you can train every day, but it's about what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's intensity training, there's low intensity training, there's moderate training, there's weight training. So anything if going for a walk is a form of exercise. So anyone can easily train 7 days a week, but it's always about
like sort of what you're doing.
Yeah. I do believe in rest. I think that's very important. I never slept so much after my fight. Actually. I slept so much. It was it was incredible. And then when I got back to training, I felt like revitalized. Before I almost felt a bit fatigued and capped before the fight. It was brilliant. So I do understand the rest.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, so have I. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, and I really appreciate that. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavours.
And you,
Thanks,
nice
pal.
one. Cheers, mate.